And my name is Joe Janice. I'm a senior appraiser here at the Jefferson County Appraisal District. What I'm going to talk to you about today is what's called a special use agricultural valuation that you can obtain on certain property that's used in a agricultural setting. What you need to do to get that special valuation is to obtain a form here at the Jefferson County Appraisal District, or call and ask us to mail you one, or you can get it by going to our website at www.jcad.org. What I want to talk to you about mainly today is four things. One is what you need to do to get the special use agricultural valuation, exactly what it is, what the filing deadlines are, and how to complete the application. I would advise everyone that has property that they think they may be using in an agricultural manner to get this application and file it, and see if you can get the special use valuation, because it could save you valuable tax dollars.
What is 1D1 agricultural use appraisal? The Texas Constitution and the Texas Property Tax Code provide for special appraisal of open space land. According to the Texas Property Tax Code, land designated for agricultural use is appraised at its value based on the land's capacity to produce agricultural products. What are the requirements that must be met for 1D1 agricultural use appraisal to be granted? The first thing you need to do is file an application for 1D1 open space agricultural use appraisal with the Jefferson County Appraisal District. You can get the application form by calling 409-840-9944 and requesting it from the Jefferson Central Appraisal District, or by going to our website at www.jca.org. The information that you provide in the application must demonstrate that the land in question is land that is currently devoted principally to agricultural use to the degree of intensity generally accepted in the area, and that it has been devoted to agricultural use or to production of timber or forest products for 5 of the preceding 7 years, that it is land that has been used to protect federally listed endangered species under federal permit, or that it is land used for conservation or restitution projects under certain federal and state statutes. Degree of intensity is the level of activity at which you are engaging in your agricultural endeavors, such as number of cattle per acre, number of beehives per acre, and yields per acre, among others. The value of the land is calculated based on the annual net income from a typical lease arrangement that would have earned from the land during the 5-year period preceding the year before the date of appraisal by an owner using ordinary prudence in the management of the land and the farm crops and livestock produced or supported on the land, including income from hunting or recreational leases. For timber, the value is calculated using the directly preceding 5 years. Also, please remember that any property receiving special ag valuation is subject to an on-site inspection at any time, and if upon inspection questions arise about the validity of the ag valuation, you may be asked to complete a new application. What is the deadline for filing the application for 1D1 open space agricultural appraisal? Generally, the application must be completed and filed with the chief appraiser before May 1st of the year for which you are applying for agricultural appraisal. In order for the form to be accepted, it must contain information necessary to determine the validity of your claim for agricultural appraisal. Once your application is approved, you do not need to file again unless the chief appraiser specifically requests a new application. Upon receipt of your application, the chief appraiser has several options. First, they could grant your application, in which case the property in question would then receive the special ag appraisal, saving you tax dollars. The chief appraiser could decide to disapprove your application and ask you for more information. In the event the chief appraiser does request more information, you must provide the requested information within 30 days after the date of the request, or the application is denied and you will not receive the ag appraisal. If you can show good cause, your deadline for furnishing additional information requested by the chief appraiser may be extended for one 15-day period by written order of the chief appraiser. Finally, the chief appraiser may deny your application outright. If your application is denied, you may protest that decision to the Appraisal Review Board, so long as you do so in a timely manner. Late applications for agricultural use appraisal may be filed up until midnight the day before the Appraisal Review Board approves the appraisal records for the year, which is usually in July. In the event that your late application is approved, you must still pay a penalty equal to 10% of the difference between the amount of the tax imposed and the tax that would have been imposed if the property were taxed at market value. If your application is granted and you receive the ag valuation, you must notify the chief appraiser in writing if you stop using the property for agriculture, change the category of use, change the level of your use, change the nature of your use, enter, leave, or change governmental programs, or if you start to use your land for something other than agriculture. If your property receives special agricultural appraisal and you do not notify the chief appraiser of a change in the agricultural use, you may incur a penalty. If you stop using all or a part of the property for agriculture, the penalty may consist of a substantial additional rollback plus interest. How to complete the application. Beginning with the first page of the application, at the very top right of the page, there's a line on which you must enter the tax year for which you are applying. Please make sure that the proper year is entered on the space provided. Directly below on the left and on the right are the two more lines for the appraisal district name and the appraisal district account number if known. Section 1 of the application then requests property owner applicant information. The first request asks what type of owner the applicant is, such as an individual, partnership, corporation, or other. You must check the appropriate box for your business structure. Next, you must provide the property owner's name, date of birth, physical address, phone number, email address, and mailing address. We ask that you please be sure to provide a good phone number so that we're able to quickly get in touch with you should the need arise. Also, it is very important that the individual's birthday is completed correctly, as there are new laws regarding certain notifications provided to persons age 65 and older. Section 2 of the application requests information regarding an authorized representative, if any, that has legal authority to act for the property owner in this matter. If you are the actual individual property owner and you are filing an application on your own behalf, you may skip Section 2 and move on to Section 3. However, if you are an authorized representative acting on behalf of the property owner, you must indicate in what capacity you are representing the owner by checking the appropriate box of the choices provided. You would then provide on the left where requested your name, title, and mailing address. Then on the middle line, your phone number, and on the line to the right, your email address. Section 3 begins at the top of page 2 and deals with property description and information. A blank line is provided for you to fill in the number of acres subject to this application. This would be the number of acres for which you are requesting agricultural valuation. Then in the large rectangular box provided, you will provide a legal description of the property, the abstract numbers, field numbers, and or plat numbers. The appraisal district can assist you in providing this information. There are also several other questions addressed in Section 3 on the second page of the application. The first one has to do with whether there are ownership changes since January 1st of the last year or since the last application was submitted. Changes in ownership would include a sale of the property or other transaction resulting in a transfer of title to a new owner. You must check the yes or no box in response to this question. Question number 2 inquires as to whether the chief appraiser of this appraisal district allowed 1D1 appraisal on this property the previous year. Again, you must check the proper box. If the property received ag appraisal in previous year, then check yes. If not, you would check no. If you answer no, all applicable questions must be answered, and if the land is used to manage wildlife, sections 4 and 5 must be completed. If yes, complete only those portions of section 4 and 5 that have changed since the earlier application or any information in sections 4 and 5 requested by the chief appraiser. Question 3 simply asks you to answer whether the property lies within the corporate limits of a city or town. Based upon the location of the property inside or outside corporate limits, you must check the yes or no box. Section 4 deals with property use. In question 1, you must show the history starting with the current year and working back of the use of the property to show that 5 out of the last 7 years the property has been in agricultural use. a requirement for obtaining the special agricultural valuation. 5 continuous years of agricultural use may be required if the land is located within the corporate limits of a city or town. In the first column, the form provides the years for which you need to give information. Then it requires that in column 2 you state the type of agricultural use of the property for each year, such as irrigated cropland, dry cropland, and improved pasture, among others. In column 3, you must also list the number of acres principally devoted to agricultural use. These are the acres which were principally devoted to ag use for each particular year. You only need to complete question 2 of section 4 if you raise livestock, exotic animals, exotic fowl, or manage wildlife on the property. If so, in question 2A, you would need to list the livestock or exotics raised, or the type of wildlife managed, and the number of acres used for each activity. In question 2B, you will list the average per year number of livestock or exotic animals raised on the property. In question 3 of section 4, if you grow crops, including ornamental plants, flowers, or grapevines, you must list the crops grown and the number of acres devoted to each crop. At the top of page 3, question 4 of section 4, continues the description of property use. It states that if you have planted cover crops or your land is lying idle because you are taking part in a governmental program, you will need to list those programs and the acres devoted to each. Question 5 of section 4 provides space for you to list any non-agricultural activities for which the property is currently being used and the acreage devoted to those uses. If space is not sufficient for your response to any part of section 4, you may attach a list. Section 5 is used to describe wildlife management use. You do not need to complete this portion of the application if you are not using the land to manage wildlife. Question 1 of section 5 requires that if you do use the property to manage wildlife, you will need to list at least 3 of the wildlife management practices listed and described in the important information portion of the form, which you use in managing wildlife. Some of the wildlife management practices listed are habitat control, erosion control, and predator control, among others. It is also necessary under question 2 of section 5 that the agricultural land use category for the tax year preceding conversion to wildlife management use be identified. As an example, if the land was categorized as native pasture before conversion to wildlife management, native pasture would be the proper response. In order to qualify for special appraisal under wildlife management, the property in question had to have been in agricultural use prior to its conversion to wildlife management. A very important requirement stated in question 3 of section 5 is that you must attach to your application a wildlife management plan completed on the appropriate form prescribed by the Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife. The form for such a plan may be obtained at the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department website. You must further answer the remaining 5 questions presented under section 5 having to do with your involvement in wildlife management. As these questions are complex and very specific to wildlife management, and since there are not a large number of taxpayers who will apply for ag valuation in connection with wildlife management, I will not go into these questions in detail. If you would like to apply for agricultural valuation in connection with a wildlife management program, simply contact the appraisal district at 409-840-9944, and we will be glad to assist you in answering the remaining questions relating to wildlife management. Section 6 on the application form asks 2 questions relating to conversion to timber production. Basically, in the first question, you were asked to say whether you converted the land subject to this application to timber production after September 1st, 1997, and if so, on what date you converted to timber production. It is necessary that you check the yes or no box depending on whether there was a conversion to timber. If you check yes, you must enter the date of conversion in the space provided. In question 2, you're asked to say if you wish to have the property made the subject of this application continue to be appraised as 1D1 land. Of course, most applicants check yes in response to this question, as their goal in completing and filing this application is to obtain 1D1 special agricultural appraisal. Finally, Section 7 provides for certification and signature. You should first read very carefully the legal warning provided before completing and signing this section. It cautions that if you make a false statement on the application, you could be found guilty of a Class A misdemeanor or a state jail felony under Texas Penal Code Section 37.10. After you have read the warning, you must then provide your printed name or that of your authorized representative in the blank provided in the certification. Sign your name or have your authorized representative sign their name and provide the date of signing. Please remember that by signing this document, you are swearing or affirming that each fact contained in the application is true and correct. Hopefully, this information has been helpful to you in understanding 1D1 agricultural use appraisal and will assist you in completing the application. Should you have any questions or any problem completing this ag application, just call the appraisal district and ask for assistance. We help many folks each year in completing their application, and we will be more than happy to help you. We appreciate you taking time to view this video, and we look forward to working with you in the future.